and missions is my love. I am currently the Eastern Vice President for Baptist on Missions from I-95 this way. What's more important to me is I'm in charge of mass feeding for the state. That runs from Region 1, which you guys are in, all the way to Region 10, which is over in the mountains, okay? We're divided into 10 regions, and when we do that, I have feeding coordinators that help me do things. I just kind of stand behind the scenes and do it all, and the good Lord takes care of all of it. I want to tell you something though. I got a gem here because many years ago, growing up in Mississippi, a young preacher came into a country church and he preached his heart out that first Sunday, and he was greeting all the members of his church as they walked out back, and one of the saints of the church says, "You're something else," and just walked on. And the next Sunday, he preached his heart out again, and she said, "You're something else," and just walked on. About the third or fourth Sunday, the pastor says, "Well, Miss Smith says, what do you mean that?" She says, "You're something else because you sure ain't no preacher." I ain't no preacher. Okay? I'm an audiologist. I help people get hearing and do vestibular testing. I've been in an ENT office for a bunch of years. But God gives each of us gifts that we can use.
Amen.
Okay? Every one of you guys have a gift. I've handed out, hopefully you all have the Baptist on Mission. Somebody may get it at home. Okay? I read this from cover to cover. It has so many opportunities in it, and we're just going to kind of go through this today. But God gives each of you guys and girls gifts, and this says Baptist on Missions because there's many females that we can't get along and do it because it's not Baptist on Men anymore. It's Baptist on Missions. Okay? Talent is something you're born with that gives you unique skills and abilities. Talent is set apart from knowledge in that it is not a learned behavior. The Bible says we're all born with distinct talents and gifts that set us apart from each other. Everybody's like me, a big boring world out there. You have to discover the talents that God has given you and use those talents to glorify Him. That's plain and simple. Church is where we gather, but the mission field is once you leave these doors and go right outside that right there. And as your pastor said, you don't have to go to the ends of the world to have mission opportunities. Let's play that first little video there for me, brother.
Just as it went down.
Their time, their resources, their energy. Maybe the answer is simple. Because they're compelled by love. Those three words are the heartbeat of the North Carolina Missions Offering, which is your opportunity to support missions here in North Carolina, the United States, and around the world. Providing relief for the moment and hope for the future is our heart's desire. Now more than ever, we stand by that promise. To share the gospel through word and deed. To make disciples. To help the hurting. To feed the hungry. To love those who've lost everything. To respond, no matter what the need. We've never stopped caring. We've never stopped being there. We've never stopped responding, especially during these challenging times. And we'll continue to be there. One goal, one mission, one heartbeat, to make Christ known. Compelled by love, this is why we give.
And I was so excited when I walked in and saw your goal and all the stuff, because there are many churches in the state of North Carolina that do not contribute to the North Carolina Missions Offering, NCMO, which is always in September. And all the budget for disaster relief comes from this offering. And a lot of other things to it, and it's listed in here. Ephesians 2:10 says, For we are God's handiwork, created in Jesus Christ to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do. God already knows what y'all need to do next. Each of you as individuals with using your talents. I'm not here to tell you what that is, but God already has a plan for each one of our lives. And there is no way we can get away from it. We may think we can, but we can't. Compelled by love, hands and feet. Look on page, inside the cover where it says, the next missions conference that's for the state is April the 9th and 10th at Hickory Grove Baptist Church in Charlotte. If you'll go down and look at those speakers, I've heard every one of those speakers before. They are dynamic speakers. If you want to get your toes stepped on, even though it's a fur piece from here to Charlotte, you'll get some preaching that it's just unbelievable. Friday and Saturday. You come in Friday afternoon and you're finished Saturday for lunch, so you come back here to church on Sunday. Very reasonable. You get a meal out of it. It's something that you should, if you haven't done it before, it is well worth the effort. Well worth the effort. And again, I think that with your church having a goal, that's so important. Goal, you may not hit it. Doesn't matter if you hit it or not, but you're trying to do it. That's so important. James 1:17 says, every good and perfect gift is from above. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, guys, but I just threw several verses down that I wanted to, that spoke to me when I was looking at all this stuff. But on page 11, if you will, turn to page 11 for me. The goal for this year is 2.1 million. They don't think they'll make that because churches aren't meeting. So people aren't contributing to churches as they have in the past. It's just the world we live in right now. There's nothing we can do about it except be faithful to God. Period. 2.1 million. Almost $1 million of that goes to Baptist on missions. And that funds all disaster relief and every other ministry that's listed in this booklet here. And every ministry that receives support from that is in this book. So that's the reason this book is such a good thing. But also it gives $500,000 to church planting. I'm not going to show this, but there's a thing on church planting on this DVD also, which is very, very good. Mission camps. The closest mission camp we have would be Red Springs, and then there's one in Shelby. You can go there, and for $20 a person a day, they'll feed you, they'll put you up, and they'll let you work on rehabbing houses in those areas. We also have rebuild centers after Hurricane Florence. They're supported by this mission giving. One's in Newbern, right around close to where Todd's shop is, real close to that. So you can go down there, they'll put you up, they'll feed you, the same thing. There are still people in Newbern that are displaced from their homes from Hurricane Florence, and that was 2 years ago. We have another rebuild center in Rose Hill that I'll be going to tomorrow. It's the 2-year anniversary. It's at an elementary school that Baptist on Missions bought, and they converted into a rework facility, rebuild facility. So opportunities abound close by, even though it's what, 2 hours from here to Newton, something like that. But there's still opportunities here in your neighborhood that you can also do. Anybody fly an airplane? Anybody got a pilot's license here? I don't either. But we have Angel Flights, and if that's your talent, that's on page 13. If that's your talent, you can use, or you know somebody that's your neighbor that's got a plane that might like to join this group of folks. They take people that don't have a way to get from point A to point B, and they fly them there for whatever type of medical needs they have. Literacy. Any school teachers in here? Retired educators? Okay. Page 14, they got a group for you if you're interested. Okay. Baptist builders. Church renewal. There's a group of folks that go all over the state of North Carolina and help the churches renew when they say, we're in trouble.
Ouch.
And churches are in trouble. Our membership, every church, our membership is getting older. And it is so difficult, we have the same trouble at First Baptist, it's so difficult to try to get the millennials and to get them involved in church. Now, if most of y'all are like me, I was drugged to church every Sunday whether I wanted to go or not. I grew up in Mississippi, I grew up in a missionary Baptist church. And if the doors are open, my mom had me there, okay? Some of y'all can nod your heads and say the same thing. If the church doors are open, we were there. And when I was growing up, we had summer revivals, we had youth-led revivals. That's just a past now. Churches don't do that anymore. Or if you do, the attendance is so, you just hate to bring in an outside speaker because the attendance is so low. Our world's in trouble, guys. We know this. We know this. But the church will never fail. It will never fall. We may think, people may say it is, but it's not going to. God will not let us down at all. He'll never let us down. Okay? Let's play that second one.
We're here helping the community of Morgan get some trees removed off homeowners' lots and yards and houses. They had a tornado come through here and reached out to Baptist on Mission, so we loaded up and we're out here taking logs off houses. I explained it to a group that was coming out to help us, and they were like, "What can you do? I'm an older person, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a girl." Well, if you can pick a broom up and sweep, you're helping a homeowner. So if I can just carry a log and put it in a pile, I'm helping a homeowner. If I can lift, if I can tow, if I can throw, I can help.
The North Carolina Missions Offering supports 19 different ministries of Baptists on mission. Disaster relief volunteers respond to natural disasters in North Carolina, the United States, and nearby countries.
We're here to help people with physical needs so we can help them also spiritually. And we do it because we want to carry the gospel to them. And we want to see people saved. That's why we do it.
It shows that there's some really nice people in the world come out and give you a helping hand, and I'm glad they're doing what they're doing, to help. And I really, really, really appreciate it.
Probably one of the most rewarding things that you can do is to give back to someone who needs you. Jesus would be in the community and helping, and if we're supposed to be living a Christ-like life, then we need to be doing the same thing.
We thank you so much for every dollar that's given to the North Carolina Missions Offering, so that we can do what we do to reach the people for Jesus and hopefully make this a better world.
One person, one church can do good. All of us working together, we can change the state and we can change the world.
That gets me. I'm sorry, it does. I will tell you that right now, we have a group of feeding volunteers that left out Friday and Saturday. They're in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We're running a Georgia kitchen that does mass feeding. They're doing between 12,000 and 15,000 meals a day at that kitchen. We've got a group of 31. And then we've got another group of 30-ish going 4 or 5 days now to relieve them, and another group to relieve them. We're taking over that Georgia kitchen for 2 weeks to give Georgia relief. Now, right after Hurricane Laura hit land, they asked us for a water tanker to go down because, a lot of water, not potable down there, So we sent a water tanker down. We have assessors down, would assess a house and say, this is what we need to do. We have chainsaw crews down there. We have shower and laundry units there. And this was our first feeding that went. And again, it's in relief of. When a natural disaster hits, we go in partnership with the American Red Cross because that's who pays the bills. North Carolina Baptist on Missions has money, but when you're ordering 10 to 20,000 meals a day for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, that runs into a lot of stuff. So Red Cross will get a purchase order. Of course, the state has to say it's a natural disaster and a statewide disaster. They'll do that. In the past, before COVID-19 hit, they would bring in all these emergency response vehicles, ERVs, And that's how the food is delivered to the communities. We'll have a mass kitchen set up. North Carolina has been very blessed. We have 3 big mass feeding kitchens. One of them is Man of One. It's a custom food truck. It's a 53-foot trailer that transforms into that. That kitchen's rated at 30,000 meals a day. That's just lunch and dinner. We have another kitchen that is also rated 30,000 meals a day. We have another kitchen that is rated 20,000 meals a day. And we have 2 smaller kitchens that'll do about 5,000 meals a day, something like that. When the hurricane hit Ocracoke last year, okay? The first thing they requested was shower and laundry rooms. So I was telling Todd coming down here, the Saturday after the storm hit on Friday, I was at Swan Quarter Ferry at 6 a.m. with another man. We were getting ready to deliver 4 trailers and a tanker full of clean water for people to take showers with us up on the island. It took us all day to get over there. Everybody had reservations at 6 o'clock. So it took us all day to get there. And then 2 or 3 days later, we put one of our smaller kitchens there, which fed everybody on the island for about a month, because we were the only game in town. The sandwiches there was damaged. That was all paid for by American Red Cross. Okay? So and then Salvation Army is another one of our national partners, but Red Cross is usually foots the bill for us. Okay? We'll provide the resources, including manpower and everything like that. The big kitchen, Man of One or Kitchen 2, which can do 30,000 meals a day. 50, 60 people, it takes that many people to run it. Now, we're not talking about sitting in the kitchen cooking. We're talking about anywhere from inventory to having somebody to coordinate the herbs, the food going out, to the cooks, to sanitation. It's all one big community. We have to have people to do administration for us. We have safety officers there. We have medical reserve corps with us. We have recovery with us majority of the time. Now, since COVID has hit, it's a new world out there for us. We're having to wear masks. We're having to social distance. Having to take temperatures. And an example, if a hurricane hits and New Bern becomes a hub, we'll have a mass kitchen there doing cooking only. And then it'll be going out to all the communities as a spoke. Because we just can't have people sleeping. You know, we would go, in the past you'd go and we'd have 200 people sleeping on site. Can't do that anymore because of COVID. So the devil puts obstacles in our path, but he'll never conquer us, guys. And you know that. And I'm not preaching, I'm just telling you fact. Okay? The COVID-19 response. Since, Baptist on Missions was lucky enough to get a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that the president and his National Department of Agriculture person has pushed. And we were the only faith-based group in the nation to get this grant. And since, these numbers here on page 19 are not up to date. As of 2 weekends ago, when I was at a board meeting, over 200 churches from the East Coast to the West Coast of our state are participating in this. We are delivering food, we mean Baptist on Missions, that has been purchased through this grant. They're doing 12,000 boxes of food each week to our state. 200,000 boxes of produce, 2,000 gallons of milk, 1,000 boxes of meat. And it says 30,000 to 40,000 people are getting food each week because of how they've been affected with COVID-19. Okay. It says in 3.5 months they've delivered over 3 million pounds of food. And it's not over, we're still in the process of doing that right now. So that was a disaster, although it's not a disaster I would think of when a hurricane is. But this is how Baptist on Missions decided to help the state of North Carolina. And your North Carolina Missions offering goes to support that also. Okay? Very, very important. The middle pages 22, 23 talks about all of the COVID-19 response as far as what we're doing from a feeding standpoint. But as I said, this is not part of it today because it's all over. Let's play this last part here. Baptist Missions has dental buses that can come to your church for a very nominal fee and serve your community. Outreach is unlimited. It also has a health screening bus. This is talking about the dental industry. This is you say, well, you're here to clean teeth. We're not. We're here to win souls.
This is not just about the dental bus. This is about loving people and serving people and building relationships with people.
I was in serious need of some dental help. Made an appointment, and they helped me greatly. Met Julie, and it was more than just the dental services. It was how she reached out to me.
We talked that day when you were there at the clinic about Jesus. We talked about the gospel. She said, oh yes, I know all about that. She said, but I'm not ready to commit to that. She said, I need to understand more.
It was a struggle to go from being invited to love Jesus and to know the Word of God to actually accepting that invitation. It took me a long time.
We talked by phone that whole next year, I think. You would ask me some hard questions. You made me think too.
I didn't start attending church until after
That's right.
I knew. It was very difficult for me to leave my old life. It kept trying to hold on to me and pull me back into it. I'm like, no, I'm going to go do this now.
You cannot imagine how excited I was when you called me and said, I want you to come to my baptism. That was so special to me that, one, that you were making that commitment, and two, that you invited me to it. That was awesome.
Thank goodness you were there because I was terrified.
The mobile dental units operated by Baptist on Mission provide free dental services to individuals who can't afford to visit a dentist. Cindy has become one of our biggest advocates, telling others about the units and letting them know how to get help.
These people give of themselves and don't judge the people that need the help. I was amazed at that. God loves all of his people, and those who cannot help themselves, if you can help them, then you should reach out to help them.
As Christ followers, we are compelled to reach others, to follow what God's commanded us to do, and we're called to go that extra mile. This is way beyond the dental ministry. It's a starting point, the dental ministry, but this is way beyond that.
That's what it's all about, guys. You know, you can't get people to listen to God till you fulfill their basic needs. Whatever that need is, whatever that need is. The health screening bus is a new 35-foot diesel RV that they set up just for this. They can do A1C testing, total cholesterol, HDL, body mass index, depression screening, vital signs assessment, heart disease risk factor assessment, and basic eye exams if an eye doctor's available. There's a little cost to it, but think of how many people you can reach. The dental bus is the same way. This will be we didn't get to do it. First Baptist has done it 2 years. We had to cancel this year because of COVID. We're on schedule to do it the second weekend in January, or a 2-day weekend, a Friday and a Saturday. We're gonna have the dental bus and the medical bus there, screening. 2 years ago, when the dental bus was there, I was supposed to go down and open up our church in the life center at 6 a.m. I got there about 5:45, and the line was around the building. People had spent the night in our parking lot going down here. And the dental bus only has 2 seats. We have dentists, we have the local dentists coming in volunteering their time. They can only see about 30 folks a day. It is just heart-wrenching when you turn all these folks in. And then if they need something as basic as dental care, but they just can't afford. Your North Carolina Missions Office supports that ministry. International ministries are all over the place. You do backpack blessings with Appalachian Coalfields. So that's a huge, I'm assuming it's for Appalachian Coalfield, is that correct?
No, it's for local.
Local,
Yeah.
local, okay, because you call it backpack lessons. But they have, we also have, Baptist Missions also has something that does it, that they send a bunch of, up to the Appalachian Coalfields where our missionaries are up there doing it. Okay. We now have a new partnership with Alaska. Many years ago, when we had a partnership, I was fortunate to go 2 different times on the mission trip. One time it's just 5 or 6 men, and the next time we took some youth together. And it's experiences that you'll never forget on a mission trip. Okay. They also have, if you really want to go per piece, you can go to Hawaii and work over there at one of their mission camps. Okay. So there's a lot of opportunities in this magazine that you can get plugged in. Operation Inasmuch, have y'all ever participated in Operation Inasmuch? I know you've heard of it. It's where you say, we're gonna have, take a Saturday morning, we're gonna have breakfast for everybody at the church, and we're gonna have these 4 or 5 projects in the community, we're gonna go out and help our neighbors. And it's something that Baptist Missions does, and just to take it. Doesn't have to be anything big. We were gonna do that, it got canceled at our church last year. One of our big projects was we were gonna go to the local laundry and hand out quarters for people to wash their clothes with and take a bottle of water. So it doesn't have to be back breaking, roof tearing off, ramp building, all that other stuff. Let your imagination run wild. In the past, we've had our youth and children bake cookies. We send it to, have it delivered to our first responders. So it could be any way you want to think of to go out and do that. In 1 Corinthians 12, 5 through 6, it says, there are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. And 1 Peter 4:10 says, each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in as many different forms as you can. And that's what Baptist on Missions is all about. That's what disaster relief is about. If we go out there with disaster relief and somebody drives up and they say, I need 10 meals, we give them 10 meals. We're not judging them. If they say, I've got a roof, I've got a tree on my house, we send somebody out to assess and see if it's something that our group of volunteers can do, we do it. We wash clothes for people. And all their clothes are folded and put in a garbage bag with the Bible first written on it and handed back to them. So there's lots of little ways we can do stuff to serve God. We just have to let Him use us in any way that He desires and not our way. Because sometimes we think our way is the best way. It isn't. It isn't by a long shot. I will tell you that disaster relief training takes place 5 times a year from the east to the west. In the even years, it's always our even regions. In the odd years, it's our odd regions. We had to cancel everything in 2020. But you have the opportunity on February the 27th at First Baptist Manio to do a 1-day training. You can do it in mass feeding. You can do it in chainsaws. We love the ladies to come out because Santa Claus brings you a pink chainsaw. We can do it in shower laundry. We can do it in chaplaincy. You do not have to be a pastor to be or something to go out and do an assessment. Temporary emergency child care. How many people would like to sit in a rocking chair and rock babies? Because when it's a big disaster, all the child care centers are closed down. We'll set up whatever church we're set up at, and you can go in and you take care of the kids, so the parents can go out and do their thing during the day. So there's a lot of different ways that you can serve God through disaster relief. But anyway, that's the closest one to you guys. February 27th, It's a Saturday, it's gonna be a one-day training, First Baptist Church Manual, which is what, 30, 40 miles from here, roughly? Something like that. Okay. This magazine also talks about our mission counts and what the cost is there. Prayer renewal. Deep Impact is something that is set up for college students, high school students, and then we also have Deep Impact Kids, where you can go to one of the mission camps, or all the other places here that's listed on page 50 for the adult children, things like that. Many, many, many ways to serve God. This magazine is a wealth of information as far as the opportunities that God presents you on a daily basis. We just have to take advantage of it. And I'll be the first to admit, sometimes I don't take advantage of what He presents to me on a daily basis. I'm too busy doing other things, it seems.